Hi, everyone. Just before we start the show, a quick favor, if you don't mind. I'd really appreciate it if you could take a few moments to leave me a review, ideally a 5-star review on your platform of choice. It'll really help me broaden my reach and hopefully share my perspective with a larger audience. So I really appreciate you taking the time to do that. All right, on to the show. Hey everyone, Joseph Lavoie here. Welcome to Business is Politics. I'm a little bleary eyed at the moment because I've spent a good chunk of my day working on a campaign plan. Something that I'm surprised I haven't talked about yet on the show, which is that when you are in the business of politics, which every business is, and you want to do politics well, you need a plan. And specifically, you need a campaign plan. And you need one even if you're not really planning to run a campaign. Might seem a little bit counterintuitive, but here's what I mean. The act of planning is where the value comes in planning. So you're doing it not for the output, you're doing it for the input because I mean, if we're very honest with ourselves, most plans in and of themselves are actually rather useless because by the time you finish writing them or by the time you ship them off to whoever needs to see it, they tend to be out of date by the time the ink dries. They don't necessarily predict the types of crises and issues that you're going to have to deal with in a campaign. And if you want a real world example of that, look at how political parties are often caught off guard in the middle of an election campaign. And these are institutions who are designed to do one thing and one thing only, which is to campaign and to win elections. And even the best laid plans can get disrupted. And so often these plans are actually based on assumptions that prove to be incorrect when market tested. I've often had hypotheses on how I think a campaign is going to run. We go to market with it and we discover a little bit off the mark, even if that was based on some research. So, despite all this, why do I think there's value in producing a plan? Well, I think it's because it gets you thinking about the long term, about moving past your daily distractions. There's so much daily input that you're dealing with, fires that you have to put out, distractions that get in the way, and the day in and the day out grind of doing your work means that you sometimes lose focus on the bigger picture. Zooming out, looking at the big picture, trying to convert that into a plan allows you to have a much longer term view of the challenges that you're dealing with. It also, the planning process forces you to assess your policy solutions and figure out your roadmap to actually realizing them. This changes over time. There are changes in where the decision makers lie, which committees matter, which political staff are staffing in which offices. There are constant changes to the environment that you're operating in, and you want to figure out what the roadmap is for your policy solution. And the planning process helps you with that. It also aligns your stakeholders to a common goal. It helps you point the ship in the right direction. It can obviously help you prioritize your resources effectively. It's like anything else. A little bit of spring cleaning. Sometimes you want to take a look at where you're spending your effort, your resources, whether it's time or money or people. And if you haven't calibrated that to a plan, a longer term plan, in the last quarter or the last 6 months, you may discover that you're actually focused on things that maybe aren't driving the outcomes that you're aiming for anymore. Um, you also want to do some planning because it forces you to think about potential roadblocks and what it'll take to overcome them in your unique public affairs or regulatory environment. And ultimately, this plan provides a framework for measuring success and adjusting course as necessary. So, a plan is mostly useless, planning is valuable, and that's why I think you should always be planning.